Welcome to Season 2 of the Retail Tea Break. My name is Melissa Moore, founder of The Retail Advisor. As a consultant, mentor, trainer and lecturer, I enable retailers and makers to reach their potential through sales growth and excellence in customer experience. I'm also your host of the Retail Tea Break. Each week, I'll be joined by industry experts, retailers and makers to decode the myths, share stories, and their insights into this industry of ours. So if you enjoy listening to the Retail Tea Break, subscribe to the podcast and share it with others in the industry too. So sit back, grab that cup of tea and listen in. Welcome to the Retail Tea Break. Today, I'm joined by a lady who helps her clients get and keep their ideal customers with her marketing and CX expertise. She's a certified story brand guide, which enables her to clarify your message so that more customers engage with you. Deirdre Martin, you're very welcome to the Retail Tea Break.
Thank you for having me, Melissa. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. Great to chat with you.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. So for everyone listening, Deirdre and I know each other quite well over the last year, thanks to Women in CX, the global CX community. And I suppose for those of you who aren't sure what CX stands for, because I'm sure that term will pop up an awful lot this afternoon, CX is customer experience. And I'm sure as we talk this afternoon, Deirdre's going to delve a little bit deeper into CX. But the real reason I've asked Deirdre to join us today is to talk about branding and brand story, which I know I got wrong when I started the Retail Advisor. So I'm absolutely thrilled that she can join us and share her expertise this afternoon. But before we start, as we always do on the Retail Tea Break, in the time it takes to boil a kettle, Deirdre, tell us a bit about you and your business.
Oh my gosh, that's so hard to do when you're a talker like me, Melissa. Okay, so my business, as you well know, because you work with a lot of small business owners as well, many small business owners struggle to get and keep their ideal clients. And the main reason that I find that this is because of their marketing messaging being just a little bit off and their customer experience being incidental instead of intentional. So I help clients to clarify their marketing message so that it really resonates with their ideal clients, and to craft a customer journey within their business for each of their products or services so that their customers are, wow, it's just so easy and they like it and they're getting what they're supposed to get, that it does what it says it's going to do on the tin. And that's then what happens. Their ideal clients feel like it's a beacon. So they track their ideal clients and then they craft this journey that helps their clients achieve success, and it helps the business owner get the success they deserve. Has the kettle boiled?
I know, that's brilliant. And actually, while you're describing that, what's coming into my head is the fact that I've spoken to so many retailers and product makers over the last few years who've said, oh, we sell to everyone. We are all things to all people. And I'm sitting there going, but you can't be. So this is why it's brilliant to have you, I suppose, clarify what people can be doing. Mm-hmm. So why is brand identity so important? I know you've touched on it there, but if I'm a retailer with my small shop, why should I be concerned that I suppose I have the right brand identity, or that I'm doing it properly?
Yeah, fantastic question. And actually, I've been researching this recently for something else that I'm working on right now. And here's some interesting statistics that I found on this. Okay, so and I shared this in a blog recently as well. So it takes 5 to 7 times for people to remember a brand. So, you know, the first time you saw Nike, you don't necessarily remember them, but now Nike is a household name and everybody knows who they are, what they do, and you know, just do it, right?
And so even that little symbol, that little tick symbol that they have, we know just naturally exactly who the brand is.
And that's a swoosh, right? That's the name for the tick symbol. And that actually ties into part of a brand strategy and a brand identity. It's a word that Nike own. So that's another thing we can talk about later, but we'll see if we get time to come back to it. The other thing is, with your brand identity, the colors that you choose can have hidden meaning, but also can make your brand instantly recognizable and memorable. And color improves brand recognition by as much as 80%.
Wow.
Yeah. So if your colors are consistent across every platform that you're on, and there, you know, if you have a physical space and your color is consistent throughout that space as well, it's a flow. So it doesn't matter where you engage with your clients, the color is what makes you stand out. And you just need to, if you picture a big yellow M sign, what does that mean?
McDonald's, yeah, absolutely.
Right?
The golden arches, yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter what country you're in or where you are, when you see that M in that yellow sign, you know that that's a McDonald's. It's instantly recognizable. And presenting a brand consistently across all of those platforms, as I said, that can increase revenue by as much as 23%, because people like to deal with brands that are trusted, that they recognize, that they remember, because you know, it has that more of a professional, seamless approach. Even if you're a small solopreneur, or if you have a small business, having that brand that is consistent will be the thing that can win you business.
That sounds amazing. I'm quite shocked by the figures there that you've given us, but it makes sense. As you said, we all know the Nike sign, we all know the McDonald's sign. So why shouldn't your customers know you by someone walking down the street with your bag, by seeing just a floating image of your logo on Instagram? That the trust factor has to be there, that emotional connection to go, oh, I know whose brand that is. I like that shop. And suddenly they dive into your Instagram or onto your website or even into your store because they have that connection.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it doesn't matter where they see you, but if they see something they like, you know, if they see something that triggers some sort of an emotion, be it a thought or a feeling, that's going to potentially prompt them to go and discover more about your brand. So they might search for you, you know, they might happen upon you on social media and then decide to click through to your website. So that should be consistent all the way through, because if they look at your Instagram page, for example, and your Instagram is all beautifully, you know, styled in a particular color, and then they land on your website and that color isn't carried through, they're going to go, is this the same business? You know, so it does cause people to question. And when the identity is consistent, and it's not just about colors, it's so much more than that. It can be personality as well, and how you shine through on your platform. So if you take Red Bull, for example, Red Bull are fun and vibrant, and you wouldn't know what they might come out with. But can you imagine that, you know, then all of their social media is, you know, they have their minis and they have their Red Bull can on the top and wings and stuff like that. But can you imagine seeing that brand on their website and it's really formal and structured and professional? So in terms of not just the imagery and the graphics, but maybe the things that they'd say, those are things that also need to be consistent in terms of identity. And, you know, one of the things that when I'm speaking to business owners and we're looking through visuals and we're looking through other sorts of things, sometimes what gets missed actually are the values that the business have, and that those values shine through on the different platforms as well.
That's really interesting, and I guarantee that's not something that many businesses think about. Because look, realistically, when we looked at bringing you on and branding, I'm going to be honest, I thought about colors and the prettiness and the kind of brand logo. I don't necessarily think about my values, or even, as you've just said there, that communication aspect. So do you find that that's things that are missed completely, or that customers or your clients haven't even thought about?
100%, yes. In fact, of all the businesses I've only ever spoken to, and I was saying this just before we started to record, I've recently been speaking to an SME business, and they'd had somebody come in and work with them through their brand strategy, their brand values, where their business is going. And that's the first time I've ever spoken to a business who has all of those things nailed down. And that's really, it's something that's totally, in my view, fundamental to customer experience. I think first and foremost, it is about who is your ideal customer and then building a brand to serve them. Now that can be a little bit like chicken and egg or sleeping food. Which is more important, or which came first? And if it's a case that you haven't determined, who your ideal customer is and you're building a brand, well, then your brand strategy needs to identify who it is you're going to serve and how you're going to serve them. So one of the things that I find with branding is, and this is the mistake, as you rightly pointed out, Melissa, most people think your branding is your website and your logo, and it ends there, but it really doesn't. Yeah, there's so much more to it than that. And sometimes when I'm describing this, I say it's a little bit like, have you ever met a person and then met them 6 months or 12 months or 2 years later and not remembered having met them the first time?
Oh, okay. Alarm bells start ringing. Yeah, that's interesting when you put it that way.
So the same thing can happen with your business, okay? And part of that is, when we meet people, it's the emotion. We evoke emotions in people, and that can be because we listened or we asked the right questions and things like that. But actually, in terms of branding, it's the same thing. So being consistent with your branding is really important. But just to elaborate a little bit more on what branding is, and this was quite new to me. I'm not going to say that I know everything about branding. I absolutely do not. But I do know the importance of it and how impactful it is when you get it right in the early stages of your business, or when you just stop to build a brand strategy for your business if you've been running for so long. So one of the things is that what people don't realize is your business plan may actually form part of your brand strategy.
Oh, I never would have thought of it that way.
Yeah, but it does, because your business plan is how you're going to grow. It's what is your mission in your business. So you might write a very lengthy plan for your business, but actually, if you break it down, it includes somewhere in your business plan what your mission is for your business. And that forms part of your brand strategy. It's your vision as well. It's what is the picture of success at the end of this business plan? Where is it bringing you? So a business plan, to a certain extent, is or forms part of your brand strategy. Your brand identifies who you are, what's going to make you memorable, what you look like, how you might sound, the kinds of things you'd say and the kinds of things that you wouldn't say. Like some brands will use profanity on their marketing, and others would never dream of using something like that. Your brand is about what you stand for. And sometimes from a customer experience respect, and you'll know this, Melissa, and maybe listeners do or don't know this, but if your brand values are aligned to sustainability, have positive environmental impact, or in some way positively impact their community, people are actually more likely to engage with your business because they will want to align themselves with a brand who stands for something like that. But then another element of your brand is why those things are important, why they matter to your clients. Why others should care, basically, who you're doing it for. So that's your target audience. Who is your brand for? What are they about? Because you can't be all things to all people.
And this is sounding, sorry, Deirdre, it's really sounding like a much bigger picture. But actually, from what you're saying, if you can gather the insight, or if you're really focused on the bigger picture, this starts leading into everything else, because it starts leading into your marketing, into your sales, into the training you'll have with your team. So doing this homework, and it is, let's be clear, this is a much bigger picture. You have to take the time to consider it, to do it. But it sounds like the value you bring, not only you and your team, but your business, and again, long term, is phenomenal. And I never would have thought about it in this way.
Yeah, and your brand strategy also the final thing to me that it outlines that I can think of off the top of my head is how you're going to do what it is that your mission says you're going to do.
So the practical side.
Exactly. And the thing with brand, when you build a brand strategy and you tease out what your brand guidelines are going to be, it is homework. It does take quite a lot to pull that together and to have a visual plan of what that looks like. But when you do, whether you're hiring a graphic designer, someone to do your website, someone to write your copy for your website, someone to create social media posts or captions or do your marketing for you, they will have all of the information that they need to be able to do that so that they can communicate just as you would. But the other thing that branding really does is, as your business grows and you start to hire people, exactly as you said, it's the culture and the values, and so that people are literally living and breathing those things, and that comes through in the experience that your clients have when they engage with your business. So culture and branding are totally fused. And recently in our wonderful community, the Women in CX community, there was one of my branding heroes, Denise Leon, was on. Oh, I was so excited to see her and talk with her. I got to ask her questions, Melissa, totally starstruck. But it was fabulous because excuse me, I explained to her that a lot of my clients are solopreneurs and they work by themselves, and how can they start to fuse culture and branding and these sorts of questions. And what I already do is get them to work out what their values are and why they're important. And, the question I asked her was that, what is your opinion for solopreneurs? How should they start out? And it was literally that, start, even when you work by yourself, to tease out what are your values, because when you hire people, you'll be able to share this with them and they'll get your business. Yeah.
I love that. And I love the excitement there. But again, what I'm really hearing from you is these are things worth doing for the longevity of your business, to ensure that the customer sees you wherever you pop up. So whether that is on Instagram or in the local paper or on the radio, that they're now hearing and seeing the same message and they're making that connection. And it's that connection back to you that eventually is going to make you sales. So I'm really, and I have to say, I'm quite embarrassed that I never fully understood the value before, but it just seems it goes hand in hand with running a business. You cannot have a business unless you've done this, because again, it's feeding into every aspect. So we've spoken about, I suppose, early stage or even solopreneurs. One of your, I don't know, a retailer listening or a maker listening who's been in business a while and is suddenly thinking, hang on, is this why maybe we're having issues with our website or with our socials? We haven't done this work. Sure, we're great at what we do, but it's not always landing. How do you then start to almost unravel and rework what you have if you're already existing?
That's a really good question. I think it just comes back to taking time out to plan strategically. And a lot of businesses, they might do that once a year or maybe twice a year.
If at all, which is the concern that I'm certainly seeing over the last kind of, I suppose, especially 2 years, as everyone's been firefighting. But again, it comes down to the fact that you have to take the time out to work on your business.
You do. And that's where branding comes into it. If it's not something you've done before, it is 100% worth doing now, because it's the foundation. As I said, it's like your ideal customer or your brand, which comes first. And so if you haven't done that work to figure out which is which or who's who or what's what, it is definitely worth doing that, because your brand is literally your business's identity. If you're not clear on your business's identity, well, how are you going to expect your customers to be clear on your business's identity?
That's a really good point. A really, really good point. And I'm fascinated. Would you know then, I've come across an awful lot of stores or even makers whose customers changed over the last 2 years. Obviously with COVID, maybe people working from home, maybe people that are a lot closer now to the shop because it's on their main street. Does that mean people's brand identities have changed as well? Or how does that work? Because if the customers change, does it impact the brand? or does it work the other way?
It can. It can work both ways, actually. And another great question, to be fair. So what I would see happening is that the pandemic has changed people, and it has changed customer expectations. Yeah. And if we don't stop to check in with our customers to see, firstly, are we still serving the same customers that we were serving before? What has changed around their needs? And do we need to change how we deliver this service or product to our customers so that they're still satisfied at the end of it? Because what can happen with our customers is that their needs, their desires, or their problems can change. And we might now be in a position where how we were doing it before is just simply not going to meet the needs of those people. So we might need to change how we're doing it. But also we might need to change who we're attracting if we want to keep doing it the same way we're doing it. So maybe we need to change our messaging and marketing. And this is how I like to explain marketing. Your branding is your business's identity, and your marketing is the vehicle that you use to tell the story about your business's identity. So it's who you are, why you're here, how you help, and that's what your marketing does. Your marketing paints the picture of who you are, why you're here, who you help, and how you help them. So perhaps it's a question of looking at your messaging if you want to keep the same customers, but now you've noticed you're getting different customers, or else it's looking at how you're doing this so that you're attracting a new, or you're changing your messaging so you're attracting the people you were attracting before, and you can still serve them. Does that make sense?
It actually does. In that respect, it does, because I've certainly seen it. An awful lot of retailers obviously have maybe changed the way they, as you say, they've had the curbside pickup, they've gone online, which is completely different. And so therefore they're reaching new customers, or maybe they've alienated others. And as you said, if they can get that messaging right, it's going to pull the old customers back. But also it's really nice to know that you're reaching new ones as well. So again, this is coming back to having that core brand identity that you're safe and secure with. And then, as you said, just moving the vehicle slightly or changing that messaging, which is really clever. And that's what I love about the whole communication aspect of both CX and even the brand. I suppose tips for communication. And I suppose when I say communication, it is that tone, it's that voice of the customer, so to speak. As you say, it's so easy to get it wrong, because I write my own copy, for instance, wherever it is, whether it's for the podcast or whether it's on Instagram. People kind of know the way I speak now, whether it's live or whether it's in print. It's just kind of who I am. But again, that's my brand, it's me. Whereas if you came along tomorrow and wrote copy for me, it'll probably be very clear to people, unless I had gone through who I am, what I'm about, that I'm quite casual and honest when I speak. It's going to be really obvious to people that actually someone maybe more formal has written it, or someone who doesn't know me and my customers have written it. So how do retailers or makers ensure that, especially when there might be many people working in the organization, how do they ensure that that is streamlined, that it is all the same, that the messaging, whether it's about Mother's Day or Easter or Christmas, sounds like it all comes from one person?
Yeah, so it's not easy when it's a bigger organization, but usually what would happen is that there would be a set of brand guidelines. And in that set of brand guidelines, it can be, like I call it a bit of like a playbook. So it's a little bit like all of the types of words that you consistently use that your customers might associate with you.
Yeah.
And then things, how you would say certain things and how you wouldn't say things, and I think that part really ties into it. But when you create a brand identity, part of the work that goes into actually clarifying how you're going to sound and the tone you're going to use is about identifying your archetype. And then, whether you're funny, whether you're serious, whether you're casual, or whether you're very formal, so it's about kind of breaking down to see where on the fence do you sit with those types of sounds, for want of a word, for that kind of, to what's the word I'm trying to say, how you're going to show up and sound really in your
And
copy.
do you know what?
Yeah.
It sounds like common sense, but again, I think it's the fact that we don't sit down enough and work on our business. Take this overview of exactly the way our messaging, how our messaging, what the messaging needs to say. And again, what you're saying doesn't seem like it's a quick win, but the value it brings to your business by spending the time doing it with your team is so fruitful long term.
Absolutely. And like I got certified as a story brand guide in December of last year, because a lot of my business is about, I help my clients to really make the customer the hero of the whole journey. And the story brand piece is the marketing element, which helps make your customer the hero of your story. But for me, it's very much the hero of the journey, and the hero of the story is only one part of the journey, right?
And I was going to ask about this. Where does the kind of brand fit into the whole customer experience, or that bigger journey that we know about? So before they purchase, the purchase itself, and even what happens afterwards, in a nutshell, in some respects, where does the brand fit?
So the brand fits the whole way through. It's literally apparent. It should be apparent from the very outset, that first engagement, right the way through until after sale, because that, again, it's the identity of the brand. Is this a luxury brand that's going to look after me the whole way through? What is the message that they put out there? Like if you picture Ritz-Carlton, that immediately you think high-end luxury hotel. Yeah. Wow, right? And you would expect, and this is where customers' expectations come in. When you hear of a brand name like that, it leads you to expect a feeling of luxury when you get there.
It's making me smile even every time you say it, because that is the expectation. It's luxury.
And you would expect to be communicated with ahead of your arrival, and probably an email or a follow-on after your departure, and with a likelihood of being invited to come back and stay, with potentially a discount for future stays and things like that. That's all part of your brand and your marketing. So the whole lot comes in, and it does tie into a customer journey, because from the minute the client lands on the website, that website feeling should be, oh, this looks nice, I'd really like to stay there. It should be really easy. And again, that comes back to your brand. And then the messaging and the story that they put out there should resonate with their ideal clients, because their target audience should be people who can afford or who want to stay in luxury accommodation. And generally, if people are going to stay in a luxury accommodation, what is the purpose of their trip? And you'll see that sometimes if you are booking a hotel, those are the types of questions that they ask. Even booking.com, I've noticed, ask that question now. So is the purpose of your stay for holiday or work? And that can tie into the experience the hotel provides, for example, upon your arrival. But coming back to the story piece, like, when your business is talking about, or in your marketing messaging and your copy, and like I write all of my own copy as well. Wherever you see it, it's all me. And one of the things with that is, it's the points that you use to talk about your clients and to talk about the problems that they solve. And it is about making sure that it's always about your customer, that they're the lead character in the entire story, in the entire journey. It's all about them and not about you. It is important that you demonstrate your authority, expertise, or credibility, so that they believe that you are the brand, you are the business, you are the guide who can help them go on their transformation from where they are to where they want to get to. And that's really the only part or place where you should speak about yourself. And the rest is, this is the solution that we can offer you. Here's the plan, follow this plan. Again, if you want to stay in a luxury hotel, who are the people who are staying in that luxury hotel? Why do they want to stay there? So what is their need? What is their desire? What is their problem? And then how can they book it? Like, make it really easy for them how to book it, why they should stay there. And then this is what their room is going to look like. It's going to look fabulous. You paint a picture of success. And, you know, you can visualize yourself in a gorgeous hot tub in a, you know, branded robe and, like, you know, slippers, and going for a spa treat in the hotel. I'm really getting excited about hotel
So am I. When are we off?
You know, and then if they don't book it, you know, potentially the price might go up, or it could be fully booked out. There's only so many places available, and they're going to miss this opportunity. And those, you know, it's only in a select number of talking points, but those talking points are the things that lead people to buy. And those are the things where people start to become aligned with your brand as well, because your messaging is all about them. They can see themselves in your hotel or in your shop or on your website when your messaging is about them, because it resonates. It evokes an emotion or a thought because it's tailored for the people who are exactly like them. Does that make sense?
Oh, it does. And also, I'm sitting here getting excited, and I'm nowhere near a hotel. I'm not on a website. You don't work for them. But even those simple things you talk about, I am literally sitting here now picturing myself in a high-end hotel. That is, I suppose, the essence of what you're talking about today. You've painted this incredible picture. You know, you're talking about this website being really easy to use. Therefore, I'm going to take out my, you know, my card. I'm going to pay for it. You're enticing me and making it so easy. And it's like tick, tick, tick. So this is where the brand and the customer experience, as you said, puts the customer at the heart of everything that the business is about. And hey presto, you make money. Like, when you say it like that, it sounds so simple, but if the work is there, which is what I'm hearing from you this afternoon, do the work, do the background work, really get this strategy strong, ensure that the team knows and understands it, work it through all your different avenues, so whether it's social media or your website, and hey presto, people are going to be sitting at home or standing in your store or your studio feeling the way I do now, which is super excited, and then need a holiday. So it works. Like, it works. It truly works.
Yeah. And that's the thing. When you're communicating your brand to others via marketing, when you do it effectively, that can be what wins you business. And when your messaging is right and you attract the right people and you bring them through a journey that's tailored for those right people, well, then at the end of it, if that journey and the experience has been smooth, you've ironed out any potential bumps, and maybe you wow from time to time. And wowing customers all of the time is not something you need to do to be exceptional customer experience. You just need to be consistent. And if you wow from time to time, well, then that's the thing that even makes you stand out all the more. But what protecting your brand by doing what you say you're going to do is really exceptional as well. So, you know, if you're marketing to a particular cohort of people or audience or clientele, and then you bring them through your customer journey, and that journey is good and consistent, you've attracted the right people, they've had a good journey, they are going to become cheerleaders, diehard, raving fans of your business, who will tell anybody who will listen how amazing you are, and that they should all get in there and do business with you. And that's exactly what it's about. So you protect your brand by doing what you say you're going to do in your marketing message. And here's some other interesting statistics now about how branding impacts customer experience, because 82% of people feel more positive about a brand after reading customized content. And that's where, when you really know who your ideal client is and you're speaking directly to them, well, then 82% of them are going to feel more positive about your business. Like, that's incredible.
I love that. It's personalizing the service. It makes the customer feel so special. And I think, as you say, the brands doing this are getting it right, and hence the reason they're making money. Oh, Deirdre, we could talk about this all day, but coming to the kind of last question now, and I'm sure there's a lot of people listening would love to know how to get in touch with you. What's coming up for you over the next few months?
Ooh, some exciting things. So as I mentioned, I was speaking to an exciting business who are scaling right now, and they've done some work on their branding, but they're looking for some help with their customer experience strategy. And I'm super excited. I'm hoping to get in on that project to help them create a customer experience strategy in their business. So I work with some SME businesses like that, Melissa, but otherwise I have some online group programs that I run as well. And I'm really excited because I'm about to launch a new group program in the coming weeks. Yeah. And I have a free workshop coming up in the coming weeks as well. And that is all about marketing, customer experience, and how to grow your business. So typically the businesses I work with, they're all service-based business owners. So a lot of them are online. They're like coaches, consultants, freelancers, or professional services like architects, engineers, accountants, and people like that. So yeah, a few really exciting things now in the pipeline. So if anybody does want to get in touch with me, you can find me on LinkedIn at Deirdre Martin Customer Experience, or just on my website, www.deirdremartinconsulting.ie.
Perfect. And we'll definitely share those in the podcast notes underneath this on all of the platforms and on YouTube. Deirdre, it's been a joy. And as she said there, look, please do leave us a comment under today's show. Connect with both of us on LinkedIn. We'd love to hear what you thought about today's show. And if you would, to like, share, and to subscribe to the Retail Tea Break, I'd be truly grateful. So until next time, enjoy your week.